Welcome to Janet Russell Presents. Well, if you know my show, which many of you do, I've been doing it for about 20 years now, and I love to get people that are on it that help many people. And this is a young man that I think I met you about 35 years ago.
I mean, it was a long time. I like the young man intro. Thank you.
Well, you are. Everybody's younger than me. I'm like,
here's a young man who I met 35 years ago. That's kind
yes,
of an
but you're still young.
But okay,
You're still, you know. But Mr. Steve Levy, I am honored to have you on my show. I know we just had
I'm
you
honored
on.
to be on it.
We just had you on my other show on WLNY. The reason I so enjoy having Steve on, he's the real deal. He doesn't BS anybody. He tells it the way it is, and I so respect that because, you know, in politics, you know, sometimes they'll sway here, they'll sway there, and when I see an honest politician or an honest man that presents the truth, that makes me feel, yes, you know what? There are good people out there. So I'm so honored to have you on here, you know, and I'm kind of giving you free run to really discuss whatever is important because I know you do so much for Suffolk County, you know, and I have to say, I'm going to read him later, but even before I do, this man is going to be president of the United States one day. So
you just lost half your audience.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't because you're the real deal, and that's what I love. So welcome. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your background, how you got started? Because I know myself, whenever I do my lectures and stuff, people want to know what brought you to that.
Yeah,
you know. So if you would like to.
Sure. Well, you know, I was born I was raised in Glendale, Queens, till I was about 10.
Okay.
And then came out with my family to Holbrook. It's the story I tell quite often. My mother and father got on the LIE and went as far as they could. And it stopped at the time at exit 60 around Concoma, Holbrook.
Yeah.
So we settled there, went to Sachem High School. And interestingly, as a younger kid, I wanted to be a doctor. And my brother wound up being a doctor, and now I got a stepdaughter who's a doctor. But I found we had at Sachem we had a course in local government where they brought in the local officials, and we would question them, whatever. And I got exposed to it. I said, "That's what I want to do." But you know, it's like saying you want to play center field for the Yankees. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. So you know, I went to law school. I went to Stony Brook University in St. John's Law because you got to have a background and you have to have something to fall back on to feed yourself. And here I was, just out of law school, 9 months, and an opening pops up in the Suffolk County Legislature, and I had started to dabble a little bit in local politics. And I figured I'd run one day, maybe when I'm 30 years old, after I built up a practice or whatever. But you have to know in politics, timing is everything. Because if you don't have an open seat, it's very hard to beat an incumbent. It could have been another 20 years before something opened up. And frankly, it was another 20 years. So good thing I ran right then, and I did. And 25 years old, and I eked out like a 300 vote victory.
Fabulous.
It was.
Who
It was an open seat. Jim Morgo was the county legislator at the time. And I ran against, I was 25, and I ran against an established lawyer.
Something with housing, right? Wasn't Long Island housing?
Yes, after Jim left the legislature, he was there for just 2 years and said, I really don't want to do this, I want to do other things. He became the head of, he became deputy commissioner in Suffolk County of housing. Then he headed up, he was the first president, executive director of the Long Island Housing Partnership, which was wonderful. But I ran for that office and ran against an established lawyer, you know, in his 40s with the kids, the whole bit. And I wasn't supposed to win because I had no backing from the party. I had no backing from any corporate sponsors. I had $5,000 I saved from mowing lawns and a paper route.
Good for you. You did the real deal.
But Janet, I knocked on every door in that district. So I said, they can outspend me, they can't outwork me, and I just snuck up on them, and boom, I get a 300 vote victory. And then by the next time, I'm getting 63%, and then I'm getting 80%, you know, because I'm out there every day and I didn't care about what was Democrat or Republican. And then I was there for 15 years. Then I had to wait for an opening in either Congress or the Assembly, and they both opened up the same year in 2000.
Timing.
So then I had to choose, do I go to try to go to Congress or do I go to the state? And I knew the state legislative seat was a sure thing. And I ran and I won. I said, in 3 years I'll run for county exec, which I did. And I served 2 terms there, and it was quite a privilege. And now since I left, since I had all of this institutional knowledge in this brain that wants to explode, I can't keep it in. I formed a not-for-profit called the Center for Cost-Effective Government. I'm the executive director. We're a conglomeration of about 300.
And what does that entail?
It's about 300 civic, community, and business leaders. And our goal is one thing, and that is to try to make New York and Long Island more affordable.
I love it. And we need it. We need it so bad.
You know, Janet, there are so many groups out there that lobby to increase your taxes because they want more money. And some of them are wonderful organizations.
I agree.
And in and of themselves, in a vacuum, they're awesome, fund them, sure. But when they're all getting funded, you know, cumulatively, that's what causes your taxes to creep up. And there's very few organizations out there that say, hey, wait a minute, legislators. You know, put a lid on this because curb it. You know, how about looking out for tax base? So we're there. To do that. We try to counterbalance it and say, keep your eye on the bottom line, and that's what we're all about.
What do you think? Do you think the schools or the fire department? What do you think eats up all of our taxes more so than anything?
Well, if you look at where taxes are highest, they tend to be in those states and those areas where the special interests are strongest. My special interests, we're usually talking about municipal unions. They have a right to be out there and be lobbying. I don't blame them. I don't blame their leadership. That's their job. Go out there and get as much as you can.
Of course.
I blame the elected officials who are supposed to be balancing their needs with the taxpayers. They don't balance. They say, hey, you can give donations and you can give endorsements and you can get your membership out knocking on doors for me. I'm going to give you whatever you want. And where these organizations are strongest, these legislators become more beholden to them, and they give away the store. So that's why New York, California, Illinois, Connecticut, New Jersey, you know, the big five, what do they all have in common?
High
taxes. Have high taxes and these very strong municipal unions, these very strong special interests. And, you know, you go to Florida, you go to Texas, you go to South Carolina, they don't have those kind of special interests as entrenched, so the taxes are much more affordable. You know, an average tax here in Suffolk County is $10,000.
I know.
You know, 11, 12 in Nassau County. And you go down to Carolina, it's $2,000.
My son's got a house in Georgia, and it's like maybe a few $100 a year, you know.
I mean, so it used to be that, okay, you're paying a lot more here, but you're getting a lot more. That's what it used to be. You're getting higher income, and you're getting all that. Not so much anymore.
No, it's all over. You can go all over.
I mean, you can get your salary might be a little lower there, and the services might not be as good, but your kids still get educated. You know, you still have the water turns on, you still have the electric, the lights come on.
Got the hospitals there that are good.
But your money goes so much further, especially for young people. So there's a balance. You know, we were once in the middle, and now that pendulum's all the way over here. We just got to bring it back a little to the middle.
We have to, because like I'm retired letter carrier. I think I told you I was the first one letter carrier in New York. My income is $1,200 a month, which is outrageous, because that's less than what people on social services get, you know. The only good thing I have is, like, I do have a disability because of my heart, so that helps with my home taxes. I could never live here.
No.
Never in a billion years, you know?
What's interesting about the post office, because I have friends in the post office as well, and many of them left the island to go elsewhere because the pay is the same.
Oh, yes.
If you are on Long Island, New York City, Hawaii, or Mississippi, you're getting the same. And the cost of living could be twice as much here than it is in those. So they left.
The most money I ever made in the post office was $35,000 a year.
And you know, that brings up a good point, because you're kind of putting me on the right path here, because sometimes you can talk in too much generalities. And when I say the strength of municipal unions, well, you know, the post office has a union too, but they're nothing like the PBA, the police union here. You can't put them all in the same basket. I mean, even in the county, we have some people, like a public works worker. that man or woman might have been working for 30 years and they still haven't cracked 50 grand.
That's right. Oh, tell me, I retired in '93 due to health issues, my heart, and I get $1,200 a month.
On the other hand,
it's crazy.
The police unions. I love rank and file police officers.
Yep.
They're amazing.
But
their union is so out of control with how much they get.
Yeah.
You got an average salary of $225,000 in some of these units. It's just not fair.
But the thing is, it's like our people in service. They put their life on, every morning they wake up, they come back home. So I respect them for that part, And yes, they do deserve a little extra, but $200,000.
Well, here's what I say.
Yeah.
Do they deserve it? Yes.
Yes.
Can we afford it? No.
No. Well, that's
so it's not a matter of them not deserving it.
No, I know.
Because God bless them, they're keeping us safe.
Oh, yes.
And
the firemen as well.
See, like even with the paid fire departments in the city, the big problem now is the disability abuse. And if you lose an eye, you lose an arm, you're disabled.
The trains too.
They have that, right. 97% of all railroad employees getting disability payments for the retirement. It's corrupt.
It is wrong.
But when you have so many, a third of the entire force being out on disability, and then getting that tax-free, and then getting pensions $100,000. Police officers now in Long Island have pensions of $125,000, $150,000.
And most of them have businesses.
Right.
And which respect them for that.
So God bless them. I don't blame them. Don't take it out on those rank and file guys.
No.
They're just getting what was bargained for.
Right.
Blame the elected officials. Don't even blame the union head. Blame the elected officials who don't take your ability to pay in mind. They just write you off and do whatever they can to get that endorsement. Which is wrong.
And the thing is, yes, like I said, I do respect them, but when it's going to cause issues with everyone else, which it does,
personnel is 70% of any budget.
Right.
And that's where you got to look, whether it's the school district or it's the police department or a town budget, the villages. Some of these villages pay so much money because they have a village police department where their guys are making $175 grand and they have no crime in the village. So, that's what our Center for Cost Effective Government does. We sound the alarm. So we're trying to go up to Albany now, and we're fighting against the state mandates.
Okay.
And we're saying when it comes to pensions, for instance, don't allow overtime to be factored into the pension, because what'll happen, Janet? Let's say you have a base salary, like you were in the post office. You didn't get any overtime, or if you did, it was minimal.
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's happening in some of these units? They have a base salary of $150,000 or $125,000. They'll work ungodly overtime.
Oh yeah, because
in the last couple of years,
like the last 3 years,
you beef up your base. So that $150,000 salary is now $250,000.
Yeah.
And you're getting a pension off of the $250,000 for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's got to stop.
Yeah.
So that's what our organization does.
Right.
Hey, we don't begrudge anybody. Give that person
never,
a fair. What are you getting?
Be fair.
You're getting trinkets to help you survive.
Yeah.
Here you're getting nothing, and you're trying to worry about where you're going to eat.
Oh,
and
yeah,
other people are living on the water.
No, you're right. You're so right there,
it's just something very
so
unfair.
What do you? So you basically want to make it where it's equal.
Levels out a little bit. It'll never be equal, not a socialistic society, but there's got to be more balance there. And so that's what we do. We lobby for those kind of things. We're lobbying, for instance, as well to bring purchasing together so that schools will be able to buy things in bulk to a greater extent.
That would be great.
One of the things we're doing, my center is going to have Congressman Lee Zeldin at our next meeting.
Okay.
And he's agreed to carry the bill in Washington. That would be a landmark bill and have ramifications throughout the entire nation.
That's good.
It would allow every school to purchase off of the federal purchasing vendor list.
Okay.
Right now they can do it on the state list, but imagine the additional bulk and competition they can inject into the system if our local schools say, hey, that desk is going to cost me $300 on the state list, but I can get it for $175 on the federal list. That adds up to big money.
Certainly, of
course. So that's something that we've proposed.
That's great.
And Congressman Zeldin's going to push it.
Yeah, good for him.
So,
yeah.
we're very happy about
Well,
that.
I'm happy because you know what? Things do have to equal out, And me being a senior, I mean, I see so much out there, and there's so much that people are not aware of for the seniors, And to me, that's a big thing. I had to learn on my own, the hard way, Like, example, if you're disabled, they have the STAR program. A lot of people aren't aware of this.
Mm-hmm.
They really aren't. That if you get Social Security, then the rate is different, which it should be because our incomes are like I get $130 a month from Social Security.
Mm-hmm. How do you survive on that?
And that's in my $1,200 a month. And I'm 77, and I'm still out there trying to.
So you need that property tax break, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, and I would say most seniors are either on HEAP or on food stamps. You can't, or they leave and they go live with their kids.
There's this dichotomy here where you have some who are really struggling.
Oh God!
And then you have others who are doing exceptionally well if they were in the right union, and that's where we're trying to
or the right job.
Right. That's where we're trying to balance. If it was a private sector job, it's less of a concern because taxpayer dollars are not funding that.
Right.
But now when you see thousands and thousands of people who are getting pensions over $100,000 a year
I wouldn't know what
in
to
the
do with
state,
it.
right?
I'd be
in the
wow.
state, who are public employees. You see some of those people living the high life, and you see others struggling just to get by, who were putting in 30 years in the post office or whatever.
And the thing is, and it behooves me being a senior when I see so many that are struggling even more than I am, and it's like, well, what am I going to pay here? You need a car, you need the gas for the car, you need your oil, you need the basics.
You see, another thing that's really hurting seniors is the trend that we have now in the nation where work has been, there's a lack of incentive now within the system. For seniors, you paid your dues, you put in your 30 years, your 40 years, whatever, and now it's time to enjoy life.
And you can't.
And it used to be, when Social Security was first put together, you had 16 workers for every one retiree. Today, it's like 3.
Yeah.
3 or 4 workers.
Yeah.
Part of it is because, we have so many more people living longer and fewer young people, but the other part is there are so many people out of the workforce. There are 94 million people, Janet, in America who are not working.
That's
now,
a lot.
A chunk of that is seniors. But even if you take ages 25 to 64, which is your core work time, 40 million people. They're not working. So why? Because it's been but part of it, a lot of it is this system where we've incentivized people not to work. I'll give you an example. A woman told me, a friend, she hired someone, entry level, and he started to do a good job.
Yeah.
A year later, say, doing a good job, want to give you a raise, blah, 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 blah. She gets a call from the social worker for this woman. Says, you can't give her a raise.
Oh, she's working within the social work thing.
Right.
So she's on social services.
So now they said, if she gets a raise, she's going to lose some of her benefits. So now, so I won't give her the raise. So what does that mean? That woman is stuck in poverty for the rest of her life.
That's right.
She'll get enough of this and that from this program and that program, and just to get along. But if you're not moving up the ladder, you're stuck. And that's the problem with our system now. Either, hey, I'm not going to go get a job in the first case, because I'll lose a benefit, or I have a job, and if I make too much, I'll lose this other benefit. That's a real problem.
Ooh.
It's a real problem. So we've got to incentivize people to work so that they can rise up the ladder.
Sure. Well, what about like a certain percentage of their pay that will be paid by the employer, where she or he will still get certain benefits?
Yeah, or you don't lose all your benefits at first. It's graduated out. Or, we got to be careful because with Medicaid, for instance, Donald, the president is now recommending that if you're able-bodied and you're going to get Medicaid, you got to work for it.
Yeah.
And that's a really good idea. Yeah. When President Clinton put in place workfare in the 90s, so many, cried, oh, it's going to lead to people are going to starve to death. They don't have the ability to get to work. They're too physically, incapacitated. Yeah. They can't go where they have the children. They can't get care. Guess what? They implemented. It was great. Yeah. Not only for society as a whole, the welfare rolls dropped markedly, and those people were finding that, hey, it's better to work.
Of course it is.
Because number one, from a self-esteem perspective, but now I'm advancing and I'm not dependent on these government bureaucrats anymore. It was the best anti-poverty program ever. But what happened of late, the Obama administration in particular, gutted those workfare requirements. So it's on paper that you have to work, but they don't really enforce it. So people get that and say, well, I'm not going to work if you're going to pay me.
No, we got to, I have 4 kids, 5 grandkids, and 6 great, well, I have 3 children now, my daughter passed. But I always, from the time my kids were little, I said, always be honest, never lie, because then you don't have to cover anything up.
True.
Okay? Work for it, or do something where you have honors that,
Pride, investment in it, skin in the game.
Totally. Do the right thing. Right. I'm proud of my kids. I mean, they did go to the service. My oldest boy's an accountant, Right. My other son is up from Georgia. He's was one of the top 3 airplane mechanics at Grumman's, we did inspections.
Fantastic.
But of course Grumman's is no longer here now, so we've, and he moved out of state. But, and then I have a daughter that's disabled. She's got MS, bipolar, diabetes, lost her leg, 2 brain surgeries. So I see both sides of the coin, I see where, they're out there working their butt off, but yet then I see the sad part where my one daughter,
That's different.
Right.
That's what disability was meant for.
Okay, yeah. She's been
but you know what
years.
happens? When people fake it, it hurts
yeah.
the people
Of
who need it.
course it
Because
does.
there's only so much in that pot. When
That's
you see,
exactly
like the
true.
railroad workers, 98% of them getting disability money.
Yeah.
And you know, this is an article I wrote for the Washington Post, the Washington Times a while ago. It was published. It was, the fastest growing segment of disability now, and there's 11 million people across the nation on disability.
Wow.
Is, get this,
Woo!
Stress and
course.
back pain. Now, folks
But
in the
everybody's got
audience,
that.
who's over 40 years old and doesn't have stress
Right.
or backache? If you have either one, congratulations,
Yeah.
you're eligible for disability.
Well,
and this
every
is the
day I
problem.
get a phone call from somebody who says, "Well, we see, you have Medicare. Does your back hurt you? Or whatever."
Yeah, it's a cottage industry.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm okay.
Right, right.
And then they get quite upset.
Yeah.
Well, you have, but why?
They're trying to convince you to put in the claim.
Oh, yeah.
It's a cottage industry.
It's scary.
And this has exploded. And again, it's knuckleheads in the bureaucracy and our elected officials who are changing the rules and liberalizing them and killing taxpayers. But again, they're hurting the very people that disability was intended to help. The truly disabled, because they're putting everyone on these
in
rolls.
one thing. I had gotten the flu shot last year. I didn't get it this year because I got very, very sick. I had the flu, then went to congestive pneumonia, then went to pneummonia.
Wow.
I went to the hospital with pneumonia. I mean,
Was this a reaction to the
I would
shot?
think it might have been because since I'm 77, I think they gave me the stronger dose, and 3 months I was literally on the couch, and it was weird. Finally I went to the hospital with the pneumonia because I was really, I thought I was going to die, and I probably would have. Okay, I was in the hospital 6 hours. Now I have good coverage. I've had coverage since I'm 29. It cost me almost $800 a month for my coverage, which is a lot of money. That would be $800 more I'd have in my pocket for my pension.
Well, some people out there will say 800 is not so bad anymore because it's getting crazy.
But I got a bill from the hospital, me being in there for 6 hours for over $5,000.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
But I have coverage.
Right.
I have Medicare, and I have,
That's why they bill so high. because.
But I get the bill for the $5,000, and I'm like, wait a minute.
No, it's
what happened was they put in the wrong. They put the GHI in as my first instead of my secondary. They should have put the Medicare
right.
in.
Which should cover 80% of it.
Yeah, and then the balance would be covered by my GHI. So I'm still fighting it, and I'm getting every month. I'm getting the bill, and I'm like, this had nothing to do with me.
And you know what? A lot of people who don't know better sometimes pay these bills. It might not be $5,000. It might be $800. Oh, I guess I owe this, and they pay it. And there's a lot of mistake. But the healthcare system, it's problematic. It was terrible to begin with. We couldn't just accept the fact that 40 million people were uninsured. It was terrible. And I do commend President Obama for trying to address that.
Trying to fix things.
I don't like the plan that came out because what they didn't do was look at the core drivers of cost within the healthcare system. What they basically did is say, we got a lousy system. We're not going to fix the system. We're just going to shift who pays for it.
We're going to negotiate.
But instead, we're going to have you people who presently have insurance, we're going to yank your insurance way up so that you subsidize the people who don't, or we're putting them on Medicaid so you taxpayers will make it up.
You still get it.
What they really should be doing is going after the core reasons why healthcare is so expensive in this nation. And what is it? Well, compare it to other nations. What don't they have that we do have? They don't have all of these frivolous lawsuits. That's number one. And a big chunk of the expenditures here is in the last 6 months of life.
I can see that.
We will spend so much money on the last 6 on terminal people. Not to say anybody should just be left to die.
No, I agree.
But do you really spend money for a hip replacement for someone who's got 3 months to live?
Yeah, I so
it's that kind of stuff that we've got to get wiser about.
So well, look at Canada. My husband's parents were Canadian, and I remember, we used to go there. I love Canada. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. And I was like amazed. Every child, they get a certain thing. And then they have where if you're sick, you just go.
Yeah. Well, you see, I compared our system to the European and Canadian system, and there were some people like Bernie Sanders that, those systems are so great, and there's others say, no, they're terrible, ours is so great. The reality, after I analyzed it, is it's somewhere in between. What we need to do is take the best of both systems and eliminate the worst. Now, for those who say, Canada and Britain is so great, if you're healthy, but if you need a test and you need it fast, you're in trouble because the waits are very, very long. Really? You don't know how many people die because it takes them 6 months to get to a specialist. None other than Michael Dowling. The president, the chief executive of Northwell, told us the story of how his brother in Ireland, was talking to him about some symptoms he had. And he said, you better get over here because it was going to take him 6 months to get his appointment. He would have been dead.
Oh, my God.
He came over, now notwithstanding the fact that his brother is Michael Dowling. But even if he wasn't, he still would have been able to see someone in a month maybe. That's the difference between life and death. So we do that better because we have more choice. And we also, what we do better is we innovate. All the inventions.
We fix it.
The inventions come from here. Not France, not Canada,
thank God.
not England. They're here because there's an incentive to innovate. But what we do wrong, too many lawyers. With too many lawsuits and doctors having to do defensive medicine and unnecessary tests. It's not so much the judgments, it's the unnecessary tests. And it's the last 6 months of life. And it's what you said, $5,000 for whatever. There's no relationship between the bill and the patient. If you had to pay for that yourself, you're saying, get out of here. I'm not paying this.
I'd be home dying.
When it's an insurance company, it just gets paid through the bureaucracy.
Well, the funny thing is they gave, whatever medication they gave me was so strong that it actually made a paste on my lungs.
Wow.
Instead of clearing, the lungs. And I mean, probably if it was $1.5 million to keep me alive, I would have been there, but I was only in there 6 hours. I wouldn't even stay overnight,
But when people don't How they don't say, yeah, it was $50,000 for that operation. What do I care? The insurance
Yeah, but you have to care because you're still paying for it.
You do, but it's not the same thing when you have the skin in the game.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a company I know of, and it's growing rather large now, because here's what they're doing. To get a hip replacement here in America, it could cost,
a lot of money.
Tens of thousands, $60,000, whatever. You go to Europe or something, it could be a couple of grand.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And it's not like they're specialists or that much worse or better than ours. I mean, I think we have the best doctors in the world, but not by big stretches on mundane things,
right.
So they are actually negotiating for people, say, hey, don't do your operation
go to
here.
Go to that other country.
It's better to fly over there and get it.
Yep.
Especially if you're not insured.
Yes.
And you're seeing a lot of this happen, or they're intermediaries to inject competition.
I'll give you an example. My daughter-in-law is in the Philippines, and her daughter was very ill, and they didn't have any insurance, and they were not going to take her into the hospital, and she would have died. I literally sent my mortgage money because she would have died.
In the Philippines. Yeah.
In the Philippines. She would have died,
you see, here,
and it was scary.
You know the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing?
Yeah.
Where he was on, and we need a system where a baby won't die. A baby's not going to die.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have insurance,
there's
you have to care for that child anyway. It's not like they're going to say let the child die.
No.
But what happens is, he's right in this regard, when there's not insurance, you're paying more in the end. We as taxpayers are paying more.
But it's a life.
Because one way or the other, that person is going to be cared for.
Yeah, well, yes.
So it's either going to be through tax dollars or insurance dollars or whatever.
Yeah, we don't just let people die.
Right, and that's why the system has to be changed, though, because everyone's entitled to health care.
So what you is going to be getting back into politics, which I really feel you are. What would your major...
I like it from the outside looking in.
Yeah, I know, but you're so good at what you do.
Thank
and
you.
We need a person that we respect, not only just respect, but we honor, but we know they're there for the home person, the person, because I really truly believe that of you. I'm gifted. I do have insight, and when I look at you, I see so much happiness around you, but so much progress that you will help more than you're even
I
aware
hope.
of. I know so.
And that can be done wearing many hats.
Yes, I agree.
What I've been doing of late is a lot of political commentary.
Good for
on some of the cable news stations
Great.
and radios. Like I said, 26 years of this stuff being stuffed into your
I want to ask you something
ears.
that I think is really, and it's so sad because when you hear so many, the opiates. That is, I'll give you an example. Maybe 6-8 months ago, I was sitting home and 2 ambulances went running down my block. And, you find out what happened. And a young man was overdosed. His dad went into the bathroom to see why he was in the bathroom so long. The dad had a heart attack.
Nothing worse.
They made it, thank you God. But I go to a lot of chamber meetings, and I went to Medford the other day, and they said there's 9 to 10 opiate overdoses a day. And it takes about 2 Narcans to bring them about.
Yeah.
What is going on with our kids? It's scary.
It is so scary. This started, there was heroin back when we were growing up.
Right.
And that was the junkie in the alley with the needle, right? That was heroin. What happened in this new
got worse
phase, worse in that it's more potent, but also it started really with the Oxycontin.
Yep.
And the whole pharmaceutical industry getting people drugged up on the anti-pain medicine, and the doctors prescribing this like candy, I got a backache and blah, blah, blah. Very, very addictive. So what happened from there, they were very expensive. An Oxycontin pill could be $20, right?
Wow.
They get addicted to that stuff. They can't afford it. The doc say, I can't prescribe you anymore. They're still addicted. What do? Oh, there's some guy over here that can give me a nickel bag of heroin for $5. So it's like, holy cow.
But that's death.
But when they're addicted,
they don't
all
care.
they know is give me my fix. Now, what's even worse is with fentanyl, which is stuff that they used to give to horses.
That's right. And elephants too, I heard.
Yeah. I mean, this is deadly. In fact, a fellow I know who's a judge in Suffolk County Supreme Court judge presided over a precedent-setting case this past year, where the dealer who sold the fentanyl to the young man who died, was convicted of murder.
He should be.
Because he knew it was either murder or a very high level of manslaughter. But I think it was like a murder. I don't think he got life, but he got a strong sentence for selling because it was so potent that this is probably going to result in this guy's death, and he sold it to him anyway.
See, that's something that I keep looking at the picture, and I keep saying, you know what? They have to make mandatory your first time you get caught, 20 years, poof.
Well, we tried that
because
with the Rockefeller drug
killing
laws, though.
People.
Yeah, what they're trying to do now, though, is I thought you were going to say first time, let's get that person into rehab and try to get them off this stuff.
I'm talking about the dealers.
The dealer, right.
Yeah, I'm
the dealers, it's got to be tough. Now, some people claim, Bill O'Reilly, when he was on the air, he's talking about this all the time. They call it a victimless crime. It's not a violent crime. That's baloney. It is a violent crime.
You're giving something to somebody that's going to kill themselves.
It is going to kill these people, and you're giving it. So there's a big difference between an addict who's got to get his fix.
Sure.
We don't really want to be putting these people away for 20 years. We want to help them get off.
Yeah, but the dealers, that's what I'm talking about.
Are a different story.
Talk about the dealers.
And, that's why I'm like, on the one hand, libertarians will say, well, legalize all drugs. And for marijuana and stuff, I don't think most people care anymore. But when you get into the harder narcotic stuff, it's a whole different ballgame. I think maybe they're right as far as, look, if you want to sit in your own home and do whatever you want, I guess maybe you should be okay to do it. But the selling of it, where it's a business to kill other people, to just say, we're not going to prosecute that, I don't know.
So wrong. So wrong, and you see so many that, and they say, I've never did drugs, so I can't, speak for that.
I'm one of the rare ones too.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't even smoke cigarettes, so I wouldn't even know what that's like.
I never even had a drink.
No.
And it's not because I don't brag about it.
I
don't judge if other people do. I just never liked it. I never liked how it,
once in a while,
you
I'll have
lose
a couple
control
glasses
of
of wine, and that's it. I can't,
to each his own. But
yeah,
but
I would
still,
never
even
sit
though
there and,
I wouldn't know what it's like to get addicted to something. Well, I am kind of addicted to my iPad, but that's
well,
that's different.
Okay though.
But I still have empathy for those who do, get
you
hooked.
know what hurts me, I think, out of when I see, because I'm very I like to see what's happening. I've always had the interest, and I think as the older you get, the more you open up your mind to certain things. What really, truly upsets me, and I know we discussed this one other time, is the homeless veterans. They shouldn't be. I mean, there are certain ones that are happy living in the woods because they feel like that's part of what they are. But when I see, like what, a few months ago, we had the real cold temperature, and I know I'd run out of fuel, and it was 18 degrees out there, and I think we shared this at one time, and all I kept saying was, these poor guys living in the woods. This so upset me, maybe because my boys were in service, and they,
and they deserve better,
and they do. What, I mean, you don't want to force them into certain, but I mean, I know there are places for them to go. Yeah. But do you see an answer for any of that?
Well,
it's hard.
With a lot of the homeless veterans, there's different categories.
Right.
With the homeless in general,
right,
a good chunk are mentally ill.
Oh, I agree.
And for some of these guys and gals
right,
who went through the trauma
of post-traumatic stress syndrome,
of being in Iraq or Afghanistan or Vietnam before or Desert Storm, whatever it was, they come back, and that
post-traumatic stress
is just really brutal. On top of that, you add, there's no structure in their life anymore.
No, they have nothing. They're empty.
When you're in the Army or whatever military, you are regimented every second of your day.
Exactly.
Someone is telling you what to do, where to go, what to eat, what to wear. And then you come back and it's like, nothing, no one, you are like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Exactly.
You've
a loss.
lost, right?
It's a
And
loss.
some adjust very well. They get some technical skills in the military,
Yep.
and they're able to apply that to a good-paying job. But so many of them come back, and
They're
it's
lost
like,
souls. They're like empty.
I don't have a skill. I'm not really employable, and then they drift,
Very sad.
and then they don't have anything, and they collapse mentally
Oh, yeah.
as well. Listen, I'm a believer though. When it's 10 degrees out, and you choose to live in the woods
Yeah.
instead of being in a warm shelter,
Yeah.
which is always there for
Right,
someone,
of
there's a
course.
mental illness problem.
Well, I so agree.
And I know it was Mayors Koch and especially Giuliani said, if you're out there in in 5 degree temperature, we're taking you and putting you
and
at
I so
civil
agree.
liberties be damned because
Yes.
you're going to die.
Yep.
But
Yep.
now
Yep.
you go to
Yep.
some of these locations around the country, especially the more liberal, like in California and all.
Yeah.
They have tent cities. They
I
just
know they
leave,
do.
they
Yeah.
take over parks.
Yeah.
It can't be.
Yeah.
There's got to be.
Yeah.
So try to get housing.
I came up with a thought, and I think we did share it. A friend of mine is literally taking school buses and renovating them, and I thought, wouldn't that be a great idea to maybe get a grant or something, maybe from the veterans, and instead of them living in the woods, take them to a spot, pick them up at 7 o'clock at night, have this bus, warm where they can, and then bring them back in the morning.
Well, I love the idea of going to where the problem is, or getting a centralized location where the service can be provided, and
Right.
it dovetails.
Yeah.
What I did when I was county executive, we started something called Operation Stand Down.
Okay.
And we did it in St. Joseph's College auditorium. And we brought in all of these agencies that set up booths throughout the gymnasium, right? And we bussed in all of these veterans, some of them homeless, some of them wherever.
Right.
And
So
in
important.
one-stop shopping, they got a doctor's checkup, a dental checkup. They got tips for getting a job. They got hygiene. And you know the thing they love the most of anything? Getting their hair done.
Yes, I hear that.
The women getting their hair done,
Sure,
guys just
why
getting
not?
a shave
Making
and
them
barber.
feel human again.
Right,
or
right.
real.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Little thing, but we brought them all together.
I love it.
Under this one location, and if you can do it with a bus that goes there to the people,
Why not?
and say, hey, if you have needs, they're doing that in some places throughout the country where these doctors are going into rural areas, like a mobile doctors group.
Yeah, first I said, maybe those little houses, those little houses, you can get them for like $1,500. But then I'm like, but then you got
then
laws,
you're creating an
right,
encampment,
exactly. So wouldn't it be nice to pick them up wherever they are and make sure at nighttime they're sleeping in a warm...
Well, yeah, I mean, there are people out there
are
have
a lot
to know.
that don't
there
want
is
to.
no one in Suffolk County or Nassau that has to be homeless.
That's right. I
When I
agree.
mean homeless, I mean without a roof over
I
their
agree.
head, in the
I
rain
agree.
or in the snow or
Right.
in the elements. You can always have a shelter to go
Right.
to. Many of them either don't know,
Or they're afraid.
or they're afraid,
And they wanna
or
stay with their
they're-
little clan of
right,
guys,
or they're
you know.
mentally ill.
Right, I agree.
And
I agree.
so there has to be a better way of cracking through. So then you get them into the shelter, which is temporary, of
Right,
course.
exactly.
You've got to get the long-term stability
Exactly.
for these individuals.
And
you know?
there's so many, like even over here in Medford, there's so many buildings there that, the town used to have that. Why not make some of those buildings?
Well, it's funny you say that. I started that when I was
Did you?
county executive, where when someone did not pay their taxes,
Right.
okay, after 6 years, the county would redeem that
Right,
property
right,
and get
right,
it,
of course,
and then
yeah.
you'd auction it off.
Right.
So we'd have this big inventory every year of all
Right.
these properties. So instead of auctioning them all off, we'd reserve a few behind
Right.
and we'd say, we're going to allow this for veterans housing.
I love
so
it.
we contracted with some private sector builders out there. The Long Island Builders Institute
Yep.
came in, they helped, they worked with us, and we'd get these places built for cost,
Right.
and we place veterans in there. So
Right.
that's one of the things that
and I
government
like
can
that,
do.
because, hey, they save us.
Oh, God bless them. They're deserving
no,
of
totally.
our accolades and our support, when they're back here.
What would you like to see if you had, like a magic, wand, you just said, hey, look, this is what I want. What would your favorite or what would your desire to be to fix things in the right way? I know it's a deep question.
Yeah, it is, and it's
know.
quite open. There's a couple of things. One is to limit the strength of the special interests. They're very, very strong with their ability to influence the elected class.
Okay.
And there has to be, a separation between what they can do for the elected official and the elected official becoming more independent. That's one. Number two, I would like to see the public have more ballot initiatives available to them so they can bypass like a very intransigent state legislature like we have in Albany, where the Albany legislators will just refuse to pass needed reforms. So, okay, you won't do it, we'll go around you and we'll get petitions signed to get the proposition up on the ballot. So that's something I'd like to see. And I'd like to see more groups like the Center for Cost-Effective Government cropping up and getting more influence.
How can people get involved?
Again, they can look to my website at Center for Cost-Effective Government.org, not .com, .org, and check it out. Look and see what we do, and email us so that we can get back in touch with you about our meetings.
This just came to me as I sit here, and I do have that kind of a strange mind. Have you ever thought of having focus groups at your meetings?
Well, we kind of do. It's not like, I know what you mean by a focus group. 10 people sitting around. What's your opinion on this? It's not that structured, but we're always hearing the input from the folks, so we get that anyway. But focus groups are important in the corporate world and the political world. No big candidate now goes out there without having something tested by the focus group.
Well, it needs to be, because we're the ones voting in, and that's another thing. I've been voting since I was allowed to, and it behooves me that you have that right. If they don't vote, they shouldn't complain.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's funny because I know there's all these efforts. Hey, let's spend taxpayer dollars to advertise to get people to vote, and I take a different attitude. Like, you should feel very lucky you're in this nation. You have the opportunity. If you don't want to vote, don't vote.
But
my vote means more.
Right,
my vote means more, and stop complaining.
That's
You're absolutely right.
It.
I'm not going to force you to vote. Don't take my tax dollars to encourage someone else to vote. Make it easier for them to vote.
Right.
I mean, it's very hard to vote here in New York in that you go into other places around the country, you can vote, in advance.
Right.
You can vote several days here. It's one day. But despite that, you've never missed a vote.
No,
I rarely
have
ever, unless I was sick. I don't miss a vote.
No. And then
so somehow we can get there.
And then you can mail it in if you're sick. So there's
but
the access.
Listen, make it easier for people. But I'm not going to beg you. You don't want to vote, don't vote.
No.
Then
they can't complain.
That's right. Then you don't complain.
So you got that yin-yang. Either you want to vote and speak up, or,
somebody said that it should be a prerequisite for any young person, maybe 18, 19 years old. You should, of course it's in jest, but you should have to live in another country for a year.
See what we have.
Right.
Oh, God, yes.
Because you see some of these young kids on campus. Oh, Venezuela. Or, how great it is in Cuba.
Yeah.
Go live there for a year.
Yeah, live there and see what
Go
we
live
have.
there for a year and then come back.
Yeah.
And then, talk to me.
Well, we have 10 minutes left. Would it be okay if I give you a reading? Would you mind?
I'll tell you a reading. I don't know if I want to do it on the air, though.
Oh, okay.
Let's do that private.
All right, okay.
Because I'm a very spiritual person myself.
I know you're spiritual, but what I like about you is you encourage a lot of people.
Oh, that's nice.
And to me that's quite important. Because I know you've been in the political field for many, many years, but I have to say that you have people on the other side that are giving you the thumbs up.
Oh, that's
so
good.
It's all good stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
I always like to stay on a positive mode because I'm not a negative person. So
I love that.
And I feel that when people are positive, you get so much more done.
Oh yeah.
When you're bitching, you're like, who wants to be around them?
In my center, I bring on interns.
Where is it?
It's based out of the law office of Campolo, Middleton, McCormick. I'm of counsel to that firm, and thank you to all the guys at Campolo, Middleton, McCormick who allow me to do the center under
And
their
where's that
umbrella. Right at MacArthur Airport and Vets
Oh,
Highway in
okay.
Ronkonkoma. A great firm. About 50 people in this firm, all-purpose firm. Do one of the fastest growing and most prestigious firms on the island. They were voted best law firm in Long Island the last 2 years by the Long Island Press voters.
Yes, yes, yes.
And anyway, I have my base there, and I bring in these students, usually from Stony Brook, sometimes from Suffolk or elsewhere. And one of the most gratifying things for me is to be a mentor.
Oh,
and
you
to
certainly
just,
are
and to know that, I was able to put a young person
Direct
in the
them in the
direction
right-
they wanted to go. But especially when they say, hey, I really learned a lot from this, and I love that,
Well, it is, you've lived it, so you can
Yeah.
speak it. If you haven't lived it, you can't speak it. And then you have. Many years you've done
Well,
that.
I've had mentors. You've probably had mentors.
Of course, you have to.
And boy, do you relish them. You're so thankful. Now, when you get to that age and you have that experience, it's fun to give it back.
Oh, God, yes.
And to be a mentor for a protege,
Totally.
it makes you feel
I
good.
just want to ask you before we end up the show, is there anything that you didn't touch on that you would like to?
I think we've done a lot. There is a group that we're putting together called Make New York Affordable.
Okay,
and this is a conglomeration of various groups that are out there, business groups like, the Reclaim New York Initiative and the Suffolk Tax PAC and the Long Island Board of Realtors and the Long Island Builders and the Long Island Contractors. These are all groups that are trying to lobby in Albany to make Long Island and New York State more affordable. And them doing it on their own, it doesn't get too far.
No, you have to.
But when you come together under one umbrella, which we're trying to do now, I think we're going to have a lot more clout. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to be making some waves.
I'd love to offer you to come back again anytime you'd like to. And I do a show on WLINY where we had you on there. But anytime you would like to get the information out there, I honor you to come on. I really, truly do.
I would be honored to
I
do so.
I respect you that much that I would say that. Why not, So as we are coming down to the end of the show, please give your information on how they can connect with you again.
Sure, one more time. It's just get on the web, Center for Cost Effective Government, and it's the centerforcosteffectivegovernment.org. And just email us and we'll get back in touch with you. We meet 3-4 times a year.
Okay, great.
Usually, in Hauppauge. And we're doing a lot during the year in our committees. But it's the main meetings is in Hauppauge.
Well, I mean, I'm all over the place. I do a lot of fundraisers, and I'm a psychic medium. Anything you have that you'd like to get out there, please share it with me, and I'll add it to all my flyers and stuff. I would love to.
Thank you. That's so nice to know.
I would love to.
It's all about grassroots, and
today
it's
all about helping each other.
It is, and today with social media,
things
can just get out there exponentially.
In a heartbeat.
I was just interviewed a little earlier today before the show.
Yeah.
As he's interviewing me, it's streaming out live. He's getting emails back from the people who are viewing this on the internet, asking me questions. It blew my mind.
Well, that's
incredible.
how we, and I love Eric. He's aces. I mean, I was asked to do 4 different radio stations, and I look into this whole situation and I see the honest people. And he's honest, and he's above board. And we have fun, we have crazy fun, but yet he's a real deal.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm happy.
And it's the wave of the future. So it's
but
great to be part
but I saw him. We were dubbing the other show, and then he was throwing, which is great. Yeah. It's just great,
Well, I'm just so pleased to be part of that and be here with you anytime.
Anytime,
Thanks.
door
I'll
always
be back.
open. I do my show once a month, so And if you want to see me Mondays, I am now at a new place in Bellport, Celadon Home Boutique, where I do my readings, and we're going to have healers there. We're also going to have authors there, and actually Helen, who was on our first show, she does law of attraction. She's going to be coming out. I like that positive stuff. Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm in Patchogue. Tuesday, I'm at Bellavino from 5 to 7, 5:30 to 7:30. Wednesday, I'm at Off Key Tiki, and I'd love to invite you. We're going to have our monthly party at Off Key Tiki, and we're having it February 16th.
All right.
Okay. We're going to do it once a month there, so I'm inviting our public to come. And if you're available that night, I'd love you to come. It's 6 to 7 open bar. 7:30, we're going to have buffet, and then I think we're going to have music and more at 8 o'clock. Mike's a real nice guy there, so we went there for our holiday party, and we talked to him about helping bring people to the location. He's above board, and I like him. He's a good man too. And he's got really good entertainment there as well. And then Thursdays, I'm going to actually be going to Hop Hog. I met with the gentleman because I belong to a couple of chamber meetings, and it's called the Sexy Salad.
Yes, I've been there.
It's in Hop Hog.
Yes.
Okay, and actually. I know this show will be on all of March, but I know February 1st they're going to have their next chamber meeting there, and he had asked me if I'd like to do some psychic stuff. And then Fridays, every once a month, I'm in Salt Cave. I don't know if you've ever gone there, but
No.
Pork Chop, oh my God, the healing is amazing there. And then Saturdays, I'm going to be doing groups in a location locally, which it's a private location, so they'll have to contact me to do that. And Sunday's my open day, but Sundays I'll be doing something. I love staying active. I mean, and I really find I'm 77 now, and I hope to be 100. I hope to go on till I'm 100. That's my plan anyway. And maybe even beyond. You just never know. But the thing is...
Well, you'll be beyond, but maybe not here, but you'll be beyond
I'll
somewhere.
be sending messages down from above, But the thing is, I find people in my age group, they tend to just sit and do nothing. Be active. Go volunteer.
You get rusty.
Help out. Go talk to, there's so many veterans that just talk to them. Go to the VA hospital. If you like animals, go help save a pet. There's so much out there.
Best thing for your health is to give back,
and it's
something. It sets free the endorphins, right?
Yeah,
within your body.
it does, and it makes you feel. I'm honored. I'm really honored. So we are coming down to the end of our show. Steve, thank you. I can't thank you enough. You're so insightful, and you gave so much, positive energy and what's out there to help many. And
well, we could all make a difference when we put our mind to it.
We can. And if you want to contact me, you can email me at rosebuds with an S, Janet, MSN.com. You can call me at 631-654-3353. That's my home number. If I'm not home, please leave me a message of what it is, and I'd be more than happy to get back. I love doing fundraisers. I love helping people. And, if you can't reach our friend here, contact me, and we'll make sure that we get you back to.
That's a plan.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Janet.
Okay. We don't have yesterday. We don't have tomorrow. We only have the moment, and make your moment count, because that's all you have. We'll see you next month. Be good to each other as well. I always say God drives the bus. We're the passengers.
I love that.
So thank you again so much.
Janet.
I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I really, really do. See you soon. Come on. But I'm sure we're done. So it was good.
Yeah, it's excellent.
You see, I like it because
You don't even have to prepare. You just go
I
and
don't.
zoom it.
I don't. Because you know what? Because I feel that